Welcome to American Baker in Germany. I'm Michelle, and today we are doing an interesting tutorial. I actually had a question about this, and this was on the difference between German and American baking powder. I didn't actually realize there was a difference until I looked it up, but I'll share with you everything that I've learned. So let's get started.
After doing some research, I discovered that what we're really talking about is the difference between single and double-acting baking powder. American baking powder is almost 100% double-acting. Here in Germany, baking powder is single-acting. So how can you convert one to the other? The answer will probably surprise you. So first of all, what is the difference? Baking powder contains a thickener such as cornstarch and at least one acid and one base in powdered form. Most commonly, the base is sodium bicarbonate, otherwise known as baking soda. The acid can vary. In Germany, the acid used is typically disodium hydrogen diphosphate. I hope I said that right, which is a weak acid that begins working when the mixture becomes wet and continues working with the application of heat. The acid that is typically used in American double-acting baking powder is sodium aluminum sulfate. Despite its name, double-acting baking powder doesn't act twice as well or even twice at all. This chemical combination does not react under 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius, which means that this baking powder does not start acting when it gets wet. It only starts reacting when heated. This feature allows you to mix up your dough and allow it to sit before baking. So that's the biggest difference between single and double-acting baking powder. Single-acting baking powder begins working immediately when mixing up your dough. So for best results, you should bake your baked goods in a preheated oven immediately after mixing up your dough. If you do this, single-acting baking powder will be just as effective as double-acting. If you leave your dough sitting out for any length of time, or if you don't preheat your oven, double-acting baking powder will be twice as effective. Maybe that's where the name comes from. So what's the conversion from one to the other? This is where most people will be disappointed. 1 to 1. The real trick is when you add it, not how much. If you have a recipe calling for double-acting baking powder and all you have is single-acting, consider adding it later in the recipe than it's called for. Mix it through and immediately place it in a preheated oven, and it should be fine. Substitution the other direction requires no special instructions. I hope this tutorial was helpful for you today and it helps you get your baking powder ratios just right. For more tutorials, visit our website at AmericanBakerInGermany.com. Subscribe for regular cake videos, recipes, and tutorials.